Okay guys, welcome to the last episode of the Witcher 2 playthrough. Some of you might not like how this turns out, but I think I made the best call. You'll see. This is going to be one epic dialogue session here.
Is that bauble from Sheila's megascope?
Mm-hmm. My final prank. I switched the diamonds. The one in the megascope has a flaw. Minute, but just large enough to warp the teleport. The Emperor's magic theorists assured me the effect would be spectacular.
Oh, it was.
Good. Had she lived, she would have suffered more intensely and much longer. She helped me quite a bit, through naivety and pride. I would not have gotten far without her.
So, ready to lay your cards out on the table?
No matter the game, there comes a point when all the players need to show their cards. I love that moment. But first, vodka.
I only drink with friends.
What about old acquaintances? Eh?
Yeah, so like I said, this is going to be one long conversation. So sit tight. I won't be talking much, I guess.
Recovered your memory yet?
Not entirely.
Remember how we first met?
Yeah, I saved your life. Couldn't think of a nicer way to pay me back?
Frankly, I couldn't. I mean, taking care of another man's woman, Yennefer. I can't fathom what you saw in her, but I suppose there's no accounting for taste.
The winter solstice 1270. Midinvern, the night of magic. Letho wasn't lying, the hunt had stopped. At the Hanged Man's Tree, the spectral riders selected from among those they had taken. Yennefer was among them. A wraith cannot be killed, only driven away. Every Witcher knows that. Yet the riders fell beneath the blows of our Witcher's blades. Crimson blood flowed from under their dead men's armor. We could not kill them all. They were simply too many. A stalemate. He was different from all other elves. There was no shame in his gaze. He had never suffered persecution. He had endured no massacres. Humans had not taken his land. This elf was not of this world. He was an invader. We struck a deal. My soul for that of Yennefer. He agreed without hesitation.
Back with me, friend. Got the feeling you left for a minute.
Memories. I remember the Hanged Man's Tree and the wild hunt. I remember the exchange. Me for Yennefer.
So, cards out on the table. Unless you chase me all that way just to kill me.
I chased you for lots of reasons. You owe me some explanations to start with.
Let's say I do.
So we've got a buttload of things to ask him.
Tell me about Yennefer. What happened after I departed?
She was feverish for several days. Delirious. In agony. We thought that was it. She was on her way out. Somehow she recovered. But even then she was disoriented. Amnesia like you.
What then?
Well, the woman turned out to be quite a character. Throwing temper tantrums. Trying to seduce orcs. Trying to drive a wedge between us. After you so nobly sacrificed yourself, we thought it'd be dumb just to leave her somewhere. She wouldn't have survived more than a month. The whims and vigor of a duchess, but she was just a sorceress with no memory. We were in the heart of the Empire. And as I'm sure you know, Geralt, in Nilfgaard, mages who behave like that either drop their bad habits quickly, or are drawn and quartered by horses in the middle of Victory Square.
So I heard.
So we set out, wandered through the provinces. Everywhere we went, she got in trouble and we pulled her out. And then one day they captured us. The Imperial Secret Police. Me, Ox, Sareth, and Yennefer.
Imperial Secret Police?
Mm-hmm. We were separated, and they questioned us. Long and thoroughly, but it was uneventful, no violence. That's how I met Vatia de Rideau, and a couple of weeks later, the Emperor himself. Me. A simple witcher.
What happened to Yennefer?
I don't know. Never saw her again. The Emperor offered me a mission in the Northern Kingdoms. As for Yennefer, I had the feeling she was somehow important to Emir. As I see it, they learned of the Lodge from her. Those Imperial spooks have their ways. All I heard is that Vatir had his men watch Yennefer closely throughout the time she was at the palace. Then we went off to slay the kings of the north. And that's where my knowledge ends.
So she's in the Empire.
She was when I left.
How did you know where we'd find the Wild Hunt?
Every witcher who wears the viper around his neck knows the place. We had so many books and scrolls about the hunt that I used to think our school was founded for the very purpose of solving the riddle of the spectral riders.
Know who they are? You know the true identities of the riders?
From what I understand, they're some damn elven race. But they turned out to be a big ruse. The legendary omen of war proved to be a fairground attraction.
No Market Square mage could possibly conjure up a cavalcade of wraiths speeding across the sky. Then there's the amnesia. No, there's something more, I assure you.
Go ahead, enlighten me. I can tell you want to.
There are a lot of legends and myths about it, but the Wild Hunt is a fact. I've fought and killed many of its wraiths. They were spectral emanations, the avatars of real riders. The riders we ran into by the Hanged Man's Tree.
Are you telling me you were carried off by elves? Real material sons of bitches like the ordinary kind we deal with in this world?
They may be ordinary in their world, but they're strangers in ours. The conjunction of spheres. Know the theory? Do you know how monsters appeared in our world?
There's not a witcher who doesn't know that.
So you know there are other spheres. The most powerful of our mages can open passages between these worlds, and they usually do that to summon the monsters we then have to hunt. The elves we saw come from another world, and they weren't summoned. They found the way on their own. It's not exactly easy, so they usually send their spectral emanations. They come in person on special missions.
As they did for you and Yennefer.
Mm-hmm.
So, elves from another world and their trained wraiths. What did they want from you?
I've got an idea, but that's not your concern. How did a witcher agree to kill humans at another human's bidding?
At the Emperor's bidding, Geralt. And he's no ordinary human. The rulers of the North come up to about where his Pauline's end.
Why?
Simple. He promised to rebuild the School of the Viper, the Witcher's Order where I came to be. Witcher's schools in the south fell into ruin long ago, and Witchers themselves became internal exiles, banned from entering most cities. Besides Sareth and Ox, I know of 2 other Witchers of the School of the Viper who should be alive and on the path. I don't know where they are. Haven't seen them for years. Now they can come out of hiding. They can come home.
Why are you still here? Why did you wait for me this time?
I knew you wouldn't give up. I knew you'd pursue me. And I don't aim to hide anymore. Fact is, only you know the truth about me. Well, and a couple of folks whose word isn't worth spit anymore. I never saw you as a foe. I want to go my way, but if I have to fight you first, so be it. This story ends here and now.
Care to tell me what it was all about?
Kill as many rulers as we could. Lay the blame on the sorceresses. Breed chaos. Prepare the North. Soften it before the invasion. And you know what's incredible? We could not have imagined more fertile soil. No matter what the war's outcome, the northern monarchs will accuse one another. Pursue their God-given rights. Seek vengeance and be at each other's throats for years to come. The North resembles a whorehouse on fire, as your friend Dandelion would say.
How did you manage to contact Sheila?
It wasn't a problem once I learned of the Lodge's existence. Initially, she watched my every move. But sooner or later, everyone starts treating me like a big oaf. I mean, I can't change how I look. I stayed close to Sheila, killed a few beasts for her, and whined about how unhappy I was, how unfair the world was. So much, in fact, that I actually got her gander up a few times. I made sure a few potentially trustworthy witnesses saw us together, could link us. Security in case I was captured. I also prepared to assassinate the King of Kavir. Esterad Tyson was to be the first victim of the mysterious assassins. But before I could do the dirty deed, Sheila asked me to slay Demavend. The gods had smiled upon me. I couldn't believe my luck. Here I've been trying to figure out how to frame Sheila, and now all I needed was to carry out her orders and follow through.
Where'd you get your information about the Lodge?
From the Emperor and Vatir de Rideau, the Emperor's chief spy. And I believe they got it out of Yennefer.
She recovered her memory?
Nah. I'd never claim she informed on her friends consciously. I expect they found a way to tap into her memory in spite of her amnesia, and without her knowing it. There was a sorcerer present when I was questioned. A young, proud intelligence officer. Whatever the case, they gave me a list of the sorceresses in the Lodge. Only Emir, Vatir, and I were present. Only we knew of the mission.
How do you manage to slay Demavend?
Sheila's magic. I mean, she could give us the king's every move. His habits, the positions of the palace guards, anything. All we had to do was navigate the labyrinth and land the final blow. Besides, she had plenty of gold for the preparations. Greased palms abundantly. It had all the makings of a cakewalk, but it's never that easy. We barely avoided our pursuers, and we wouldn't have if not for Iorveth Scoia'tael, another of Sheila's ideas. With Iorveth's elves, not only did we cut down Demavend, but traveling with them put us out of the Lodge's reach. We could calmly plan Foltest's and Hensel's assassinations.
How did you know Foltest would come to the monastery's solar?
Iorveth and I planned Foltest's murder. The King of Temeria would have to deal with the Lavalette sooner or later, and he made no secret of it. I was sure he'd want to recover his bastard children in the process. And where do they take the children when a castle's under siege? I had to become a monk, but I couldn't just arrive at the monastery and claim I'd seen the light. Not very believable. So one of Arion's patrols out in the forests happened on a Scoia'tael unit torturing a helpless monk. Arion's brave men drove off the elves and I found shelter in the monastery.
No one noticed you had no wounds?
I paid the monk who treated me a lot of orens to stay silent. Actually, it was only a loan, because I killed him later. Only the dead can keep a secret. Then all I had to do was wait for the situation to develop. When I saw you enter the chamber with Foltest, I thought I might fail. Luckily, you failed. To recognize an old friend.
When did you decide to get rid of Iorveth?
As soon as I realized I couldn't manipulate him. A true fox, that one. He was so observant, so dangerous. I got the sense he might see through me at any moment.
You made a mistake. You were untouchable as long as the Scoia'tael were protecting you.
Maybe, but with Iorveth, my hands were tied. If I'd finished off Kieran...
But you didn't. And that allowed me to drive a wedge between you and Iorveth. I forced you to flee.
And I let you live. You know I could have killed you. You're forgetting.
No, I remember. So Sheila was looking for you when she came to Flotsam.
Mm-hmm. She thought she was still in control and wanted to get rid of me. I'd bet my eyes that she thought I'd lost my mind, or that Iorveth was manipulating me.
And the North descended deeper into chaos.
Exactly. There was just one problem. You. I could have killed you in the Elven ruins. Thing is, you weren't really my enemy.
Shame you didn't take a shot at Henselt yourself. History might have taken a different turn.
Maybe I would have killed him. Maybe you would have killed me. Who knows? But Henselt's death, although desirable, wasn't necessary anymore. The plan could go forward without it. Besides, somebody else got him.
You know who?
Come on. We both know.
Haha, that's a bullshit answer. He probably doesn't know who did it. So that's basically it for this epic dialogue, basically.
Tell me.
And you know
This is just repeating stuff. I just wanted to see if there were different questions to ask, but that was it basically. So
I'm done talking. Let's finish this.
Wanna fight?
Any vodka left in that bottle?
A swig apiece. Here. The Imperial army is probably crossing the Yaruga as we speak. Pure pandemonium will ensue. The North's finished. Time to go south, where the good life awaits.
You're a fool, Letho. Both you and your Emperor are forgetting one thing. Misfortune brings people together. Very shortly, the North could be united like never before, thanks to you. But that's just not my concern anymore.
I'm not your foe. I never was. Let me walk away and I will. You'll never see me again. Force me to fight, and this time I'll kill you.
So we actually have a choice here whether to fight Letho as the last boss. And so some people may not like the choice that I make, but I do let him go. And I have reasons for that, basically because he was basically just a tool by the Nilfgaard Empire, which is kind of not all that different from what
I've learned all
we
I want
are.
to know. I can feel the memories coming back. Your death won't change a thing. Go where you will.
Just like that. No threats. No words of wisdom.
You going or not?
Farewell, Geralt.
So yeah, Leto looks right surprised that we've allowed him to go. But yeah, I decided to do that because, like I said, he was just a tool. It was kind of It's kind of annoying that the whole ending takes place like that, telling of the story basically just through dialogue between two people. Admittedly, it was somewhat epic, but it kind of still lacks something. And just to have it, and well, I basically saved Leto because, again, usually in games like this, when you kill someone, they no longer have a purpose in the sequel, potential sequel. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I have no beef with him. The problems in the Northern Kingdom still have come about by the people themselves, from the sorceresses, from the kings, all doing their own crappy stuff. So I figure, hey, you know what? It's not actually that big a deal to kill Leto. Granted, it would have probably been an annoying fight too, if the first fight was any indication. And we've essentially finished the game, as we leave Loch Muin. I think Dandelion speaks, so I probably won't speak when he speaks.
The Witcher had traveled far and wide in search of the Kingslayers. In Flotsam, he slew Bernard Laredo, but few mourned for the Commandant. Flotsam remained Temerian, while command of the garrison and town went to a Vizima noble, a sworn enemy of Kedwen and an avid angler. To this day, folk gather round bonfires in Lobendon to hear of the Witcher's deeds. The Witcher witnessed a great Kedweni victory in Edirn. At Vergen, Henselt's army crushed Saskia the Dragonslayer's motley force, ending the springtime of races. Soldiers of the Unicorn swarmed over the Pontar Valley. As it had before, powerful Kedwen swallowed Upper Edirn whole. Yet subsequent events would render Henselt's triumph short-lived. After Foltest's death, Temeria's neighbors began to vie for the glittering prize that was the realm's throne. Yet the murders of first Demavend, then Henselt, forced them to look to their own problems. Temeria fell prey to its power-hungry barons. But Vernon Roche held a light of hope for the dying realm, and he tucked it away in a place safe and still to await better times. Years before, Geralt of Rivia had witnessed the fall of the Council and Conclave of Mages. The summit in Loch Muin re-established both bodies, their founders sacrificing Sheila de Tanzerville and her accomplices. Yet Radovid also required humility and loyalty from the proud mages, but this did not sit well with all of them. It was a time of great uncertainty, of rape accomplished by royal decree. Yet as troubled as the days seemed, we, who had in some way shaped the world's fate, finally received some respite. Zoltan resumed the quest for his beloved's hand, and I laid my head in the laps of the muses. Who could have known this tempest which had ravaged the north was but a harbinger of darker days, and the preamble to an entirely new tale of Geralt of Rivia.
So as you can see, it does look like there will be a sequel to the game, especially when you consider there's a further ending in the game. There's also the credits in the game was so damn long. It was like 20 plus minutes, maybe even 30 minutes. I was gonna include them just to give due basically to the people who created the game. And as you saw there, you have to actually sit through the whole credits to watch the game ending. But I won't put you all through that. So this is the game ending. There's not much dialogue here, so I can talk over it. It's just a cutscene basically of what we've known will happen anyway. It kind of foretells a sequel in the future for basically The Witcher 3. I assume there's still a lot of stuff that's been left untouched, and I will make a review of the game basically maybe sometime later. I really do like the game. It's probably one of my favorites in this current generation of gaming, simply because I like the structure of the game. I think some of the side quests, I don't never like doing side quests that aren't really plot related or don't really have that much of a human element to them. Your simple plots of finding items or finding treasures or just fighting enemies, fighting monsters without much of a human input, kind of really usually tend to bore me. There was quite a few of that in this game as well, but the main plots were still interesting. Unfortunately, they don't sum up everything in the game. They just leave it open for a sequel, and basically Nilfgaard's invasion, basically, of the Northern Kingdoms. I actually kind of like the way my choices in the game affected the ending there that you saw, that Dandelion talked about. I like the fact that Roach still has Anais, and it's sort of like someone who will rise up in the future as queen or something, with Roach there as well. That's kind of, I find that pretty cool. I like the fact that Temeria itself sort of caved in, and everyone else had their own problems to deal with. Kaedwen had their own problems, Radavich had his own problems to deal with. So that was all kind of interesting how that all panned out. I don't particularly hate the choices I've made, or I don't particularly hate the ending of the choices that I made. Although I think to a certain degree, the one thing I don't like about the choices in the game is that your main choice of Roach and Iorveth decides what you get in Chapter 2, whether you side with King Henselt or you're on Saskia's side, which I think was a bit of annoying. I'd have rather had that choice been directly, once you meet Saskia and the King, that you get to choose directly who you want to be on your team. Who you want to join. And as you can see here, this is basically Nilfgaard invading the Northern Kingdoms. Now that's basically it for the video. Since I might talk a bit longer, I prepared a bit of a, just a picture of the Witcher 2 screen on the screen just before we go, just because I wanted to thank everyone who stayed through with this playthrough. I know this doesn't get a lot of views, but I enjoyed making it. It was a really fun game, a really good game too. Probably the enhanced edition was better than the original edition, most likely, gameplay wise and story wise too, some extra quests. And so maybe there were issues in the original game that have since been solved, that maybe people were put off by the original game. But to me, the version that I played was pretty damn awesome. I will most likely play Iorveth's path or Saskia's path in the future. I won't do it straight away. I'll probably wait until I get a better computer, and just to experience that, with a better computer, better, setting. And I do think that there are pros and cons to Iorveth's and Roach's path. I think Saskia probably has a more relevant and interesting story. I know a bit about it. I don't know everything about it because I don't want to spoil myself. But I do know that it has a different outcome. It influences Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 significantly. I think that it's not so bad that Chapter 3 is kind of short. But I don't want this to go on too long because we're already near 30 minutes. So I'll make a review of it some other time. I just want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking by. This was a really fun game to play. I recommend it to everyone. I know some people may not like the gameplay, but I personally found it, fun gameplay wise. The only really annoying boss battle was the Leto fight in Chapter 1. I'm not sure how the Leto fight in Chapter 2 would go. I might fight Leto once if I ever do that Saskia playthrough, and make certain decisions differently. So if I ever do that, stay tuned for that, in the future. Anyway, this was really fun. Thanks for watching, and I don't want to keep you too long. This is probably already near 30 minutes. So thank you ever so very much.